of the people that you talk to who do videos or who say they're going to do YouTube, what is the percent that actually do it?
It's 0. It really is.
Inspirational real estate rock stars. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, like, that's why you should do it. It's hard and it's not crowded because it's hard. But it's only hard in that, like, it's kind of intimidating. If you actually like put the things on paper that you have to do for it, it's not that complicated. And just like real estate in general, it's not that complicated. You just got to keep going.
So the question is this: how do most agents succeed in today's competitive real estate market when all the successful agents are keeping the secrets to themselves? So that's the question, and this podcast will give you the answer. I interview agents from all over the world. I ask them their tactics, and they share all of their secrets with me so we can give them to the world. I'm Aaron Amuchastegui,
and welcome to Real Estate Rockstars.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rockstars podcast. I'm Shelby Johnson, and I'm here with today's guest and my good friend, Sam Caudle. Sam, welcome.
Thank you, Shelby, and everyone for having me.
In the house. Okay. Before we jump in, listeners, this one is for you. If you are building a YouTube marketing machine or interested in learning more about how to use YouTube to generate business. Whew. Okay. Sam is out of Tampa, Florida. He has been an agent for 3 years, and this year so far has closed 28. And I want to say 100% from YouTube, although that's a stat I just made up right there. Sam, yes or no?
Yeah, one of them's not from YouTube, but that's it.
Okay, high percentage from YouTube. Yeah. And so his niche is YouTube, and most clickbait stat. Let's see, 10,000 subscribers on YouTube since 2021, which is, that's good. That's why you're special, huh?
I mean, I tell myself I'm special for other reasons, but
no, not one reason. That's it. No, just kidding. Okay, Sam. So take us back. How did you get into real estate / YouTube?
Yeah, that's like such a romantic version of it. But the reality was, mid-pandemic, I had the option to get laid off or like sign a contract. And so I just opted to get laid off and moved from Colorado to Florida. Sold a house when we left, moved my family across the country, left my job, left upward mobility at a job, and became unemployed, and then became self-employed. Got my real estate license in this new place where I didn't know anybody in the middle of a pandemic, and felt like I don't know what to do to figure this out. Like, I literally don't know what to do.
This is making me question all of your choices. Listening to them, like, these are not normal decisions when that happens. Sure. But why real estate in particular? Yeah,
I mean, I always kind of knew I had been working for a big nonprofit for 10 years and had acquired real estate for them off and on. And always kind of knew real estate was what I wanted to do next. And with really a focus on real estate investing. So we did like a live and flip as we were leaving Colorado. We made good money on that kind of gave us some padding when we moved down here to where we didn't have to make money right away. We could kind of figure out how to do it the way we wanted to. My wife, and we had a daughter at the time, and now we have 2 kids. But I just kind of knew real estate was next, and figured I would figure it out.
For most people, I feel like that even if they had a cushion, that'd be like stressful, and there'd be some desire for like security or to rush into making money. But I think you kind of you did like a slow and steady route. Is that correct?
Again, that's the very romantic version. I almost got a door-to-door sales job selling windshields. Like, I almost got I would browse LinkedIn or, Indeed once a week just to see what I was not pursuing. So we did take it slow and steady, but not without like temptation along the whole way to find something more secure.
Yeah, that's cool. I like how you're saying like the non-romantic version because 99% of what we hear and see on the internet is all the romantic version of like, of course, I just knew what I wanted and I picked up everything in my family and just knew that it would work out.
Sure. Yeah, I have that like written on my whiteboard real big right now, like stop being so romantic. Because even in like the process, even in running a business, like the little things that are hard that you don't want to do, like it's easy to be romantic about that stuff too and think like, it's fine. Like I'm just going to do the big picture stuff and all the other stuff will take care of itself. No, it won't.
Devil is in the details.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to your detailed story.
Yeah.
You picked up, you dove into real estate, whether that be romantic or not.
Yeah.
And then you started YouTube at the same time. How did the YouTube part?
Yeah, great question. So May 27th is when I started driving from Colorado to Florida, the 26-foot truck and pulling a car behind me. And just thought, maybe I'll just be a trucker. I remember on that drive thinking like I could be a trucker. Like I just didn't know what was really ahead of me. So opened to everything and started just exploring every option to get leads, hosting open houses every weekend, sending 1 month of direct mail to a farm area, cold calling for, 3 times. Then I was listening to Joshua Smith's podcast and heard some people on there talking about YouTube. And they were saying they were getting like 2 to 3 leads a day and they've been doing it 3 to 4 months. And I could tell, they had some other experience. They'd been in real estate for a while. So again, if I could get 2 to 3 leads a week at that point, I'm like, that would be amazing. So that was September. So end of May, all the way to September, just kind of like randomly trying stuff, just like closing my eyes and throwing the dart. Like, it's very obvious why those things didn't work. But YouTube, September, didn't start the YouTube channel until January. So kind of spinning my wheels, figuring out which gear I need, practicing, psyching myself up, all those kind of things.
And this is January of what year?
This is 2021.
Okay. January 2021, between September and January, that's when you're having like the mental prep. Any actual prep? And then what, the first video comes out in January?
Yeah. I mean, I was trying to have 8 videos ready before I like flipped the switch on, just because the goal is to publish 2 videos every week. And I knew I would get behind. I just knew I would. And I still am kind of behind. It's fine. It kind of oscillates. Yeah.
Life. Okay. So the goal, January 2021, going live, and you were doing 2 videos per week on what?
Like cost of living in Tampa, just kind of clickbaity, like the things that people search on Google for. And you search for these things on Google and it's like Pod Storage has the #1 website or bestplaces.net or stuff like that. And it was just those kind of things that people are searching for if they're relocating.
Okay. Gotcha. Because your channel is
Living in Tampa. Yeah.
Living in Tampa. Okay. And because I know this is, at least I think the guys who you were listening to on Joshua Smith's, that's the Get Done Mode podcast, right? They were talking about how they have a Living in Denver channel.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. And that Living in Denver channel produced 2 to 3 leads a day. And you're like, I can do that. And so you are ready to go. And what can you talk through what your videos, like, I guess if someone is trying to replicate what you are doing with Living in Tampa, which
it's impossible. You can't do it.
Okay, not in Living in Tampa. Let's talk about a different market. Doesn't matter. But what are you getting now through YouTube? What does your lead flow look like?
Yeah, so it's organic traffic. So, making content that I think people will search for. And I have reason to think they'll search for it. But some weeks we have 40 leads, some weeks we have 4 leads. And it's leads that are immediate and leads that are long-term, but most of them are long-term. Most of the deals we're closing right now entered the pipeline 9 to 12 months ago.
Okay. Makes sense. So you are getting sometimes 40 leads a week, sometimes 4, and it's a long play. You're looking out for the next 9 to 12 months. So after you made that first batch of videos, what does it look like to build and grow and maintain a YouTube channel like this?
Yeah, let me say something about those first videos at first. It was so scary. It felt so awkward. I was scared to talk to a camera. I was like a ghost on social media. So it's not like I was putting myself out there at all. Now I'm going to put myself out there as strangers. And suddenly like people start watching and it's like, okay, these strangers, they're commenting a little bit. A few people reach out. But then what I did next was I sent my videos to my friend that's an actor. I said, hey, how can I get better? Finding someone that was going to like be excited about what I was doing and give me like real tangible feedback was super important in that phase.
And I think that applies in everything. Like I was recently talking to an agent who just went through a transaction that was very difficult for her. And one of the conversations that we had after the fact was like, at this point, there's so much opportunity because you can go back, whether it's a good transaction or a bad, you can go back and go to the cross agent. You can go to your own lender. You can go to your own client, all these different people and be like, hey, I want to cut the fat. I want to get as good as possible, as quickly as possible. Please, what did you love? What can I do better? And I think that is a piece, because it's vulnerable asking.
It is, yeah.
So did you just like know to do that?
I knew it was the best option to find leads. I felt like, okay, these are going to be the best leads I could find. And I'm just desperate to have these. I had bought some Zillow leads a few months before I started this and they sucked.
So what is the difference then? So hypothetically, you're buying leads or you have your YouTube leads. Why YouTube?
So with most leads, they come in like you work for them, right? That's kind of this relationship is you're providing me something and that's why you exist. With YouTube, a lot of the time people have watched me for hours, usually on their TV. Like I can look in the analytics. Most people that call watch on their TVs and I ask them how they watch. So they've watched me for hours. They know me, they like me, they trust me based on the stories I say, based on the things that happen in the videos, based on me showing them how I think, showing them like the way I view things. And then they reach out and they say, Sam, will you help us find a house? So immediately with Zillow or with other services, the house is the product. But in this scenario, I'm the product. So right away, they're saying, Sam, we want you to help us. They're not set on an area. They're not set on a house. They might not even be set on a budget or timeline. Like the only thing they're set on is me.
So there's no convincing that you're the agent.
No, it's just up to me to screw it up.
Okay, so I'm listening to this and I'm sold. I'm like, yeah, dude, like I don't want to pay for ads and then have to track these people down who don't care about me as a person because with Zillow, there's 75 people who maybe it's not the same, but like with some ad sources, like you are fighting other agents to be speed to lead, to sell them on yourself and all of these things. Yeah. So like I'm sold, Sam, and I want to start my Living in Charlotte channel.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Well, I mean, can we offer some kind of resource or something?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
First kind of titles you should make just blindly. Like you don't need to do a bunch of research. Like everybody knows people are searching for the pros and cons of living in Charlotte, the best neighborhoods in Charlotte, where families live in Charlotte, the best, master plan communities, whatever it is, right? The cost of living in Charlotte versus Raleigh, the cost of living in Charlotte versus whatever. I mean, there's a list right there of stuff. Make those videos and just do the best you can. And then just keep making them. Like keep finding these titles, see what other people are making and make your own version of it. And there's ways to just get better and better and better, both in the content and in the delivery of the content.
Okay. That list was really helpful, by the way, because I think it's probably second nature to you because you live in this world. Yeah. But even as you were saying that, I was like, I didn't know to, pros and cons of like all of that. So I wrote all of that down and I can make videos about that. how much editing do I need to do? How long does this video need to be? How important is my hook? Hit me with some more info.
Sure. Okay. So basic formula has a hook and some kind of opening explanation. So you're making this, promise to the audience. This is what I'm going to deliver to you. And now it gets delivered. So some people want to do a recap kind of thing, like you would on a podcast where you're grabbing a couple clips that were really good and putting them at the beginning. It's not what you're doing here. You're talking directly to an audience. You're looking into the lens. You're saying, in this video, I'm going to cover the cost of living of what it costs to live in Tampa. And not just the numbers comparatively, but how much money do you actually need to make to live comfortably here? Here we go. So something like that. Very human, very connective. Then some kind of intro with music and logo, blah, blah, blah. No big deal. Then I do a call to action. The next thing I do is a call to action. I'm saying the value proposition of the channel, which is, this is the Living in Tampa channel. I'm Sam. We make these videos for you about what it's like to live in Tampa, move to Tampa, blah, blah, blah. We're also a team of realtors, and we would love a chance to win your real estate business. So give us a call, text, or email anytime. And then I'm just hopping right into the content. Okay, cost of living. First thing we're going to talk about cost of living is housing. We're going to bend more toward buying than renting. We'll hit on renting at the end. So you're just hopping right into it, and I'm very conversational with it. I'm thinking I'm at breakfast with a friend, and they're across the table, and I'm trying to lean in and explain something to them.
Okay. With this video, let's stick to the cost of living example. It's helpful. How much time are you spending ahead of time, researching? Are all of your points in this video, very data driven? Or are you just this is my opinion?
Yeah. So let's talk about cost of living. I'm going to make probably 4 or 5 cost of living videos every year. So one's going to be pretty data driven. What's happened? How much have costs gone up compared to last year? Next is going to be, how much money do you actually need to make to buy a house? The next one's going to be the hidden costs of living in Tampa, where I'm going to talk about flood insurance and stuff like that. I'm going to talk about what it costs to maintain a pool and get your yard cut and those kind of, qualitative things. And then I'm probably going to do some comparative stuff like Tampa versus St. Pete or Tampa versus Dallas, whatever. Depending on where people are searching from, I'm going to talk about those areas. But yes, one of them is very data driven. It's this is what it costs to live here. This is the median home price. And I'm going to give more qualitative information. The median home price here is $300. But I'm but if you're looking for a 4-bedroom house with a pool, most people relocating here are looking for, it's going to be more like this. So I'm just going to kind of add more information to all those points, even if it's data driven.
Okay. How much time? So in my head, I'm oh gosh, it's data driven.
How long it takes to plan it.
Yeah.
So a video like that, I'm looking up pretty boring sources, whether it's Wikipedia or I'm just Googling cost of living in Charlotte, and I'm just kind of making some notes, and I'm going to spend 15 minutes planning that video. And then I'm going to spend 20 minutes shooting the video, and it's going to get edited down to about 12 minutes. And there's all kinds of arguments for length of videos. So your audience is going to watch about half of it, no matter what. That's how internet viewers are. If they're not watching half of it, it needs to be better. So you need to watch at least half of it. But then some people will take that information and be okay, let's just make the video super long because they're only going to watch half of it. Let's just make it longer. I don't love that because I just don't want to be rambly and waste people's time. So 8 minutes is minimum, because at 8 minutes, YouTube puts another ad in the middle. If it's less than 8 minutes, they don't have that ad spot. So you're always kind of playing the YouTube game and playing the audience retention game of actually adding value to an audience.
What is the importance about YouTube's ability to put an ad in there?
It just gives them another chance to make money. And if they can make money on the video, they're more likely to promote it.
Okay, that makes sense. And so our target length of video time is between 8 and 12 minutes. Yeah. And that is based on the magic wonders of the YouTube, I would say algorithm.
The minimum is based on that ad. You want that ad spot there.
Okay.
The 12 minutes is kind of my number of like, when it gets over that, the drop off just gets a little more intense. So devoted subscribers, they're going to watch the whole thing, but other people are going to drop off because it's just long for them.
Okay. So something that if I'm listening, and you know this, Sam, that I dabbled in YouTube. There was a solid, I think 12 weeks. I made it 12 weeks of posting one video a week.
Good.
And more than average, right? Most people don't last long. But it was, to me, listening to you say you spent 15 minutes researching, 20 minutes shooting. I would spend at least a full day, a full work day scripting, and I would spend hours shooting and reshooting and stressing. And I took a shot of Fireball and I cried in the corner and then I did it again. So what would you say to me?
You're wasting your time by scripting, and you're wasting your time by trying to be perfect, because the value of a platform like this, and Instagram's the same way. People are okay with seeing you grow and seeing like, oh, this person got better over time. That's not somehow invalidating to your business. It's actually valuable to an audience because they're like, oh, this is a real person. And people want to do business with real people. I think that, don't you think they do?
Yes, I do. There's a line in there, but a lot of it, I mean, it just came from not as much the audience as the voice in my head of, which I think a lot of people can probably resonate with, where it's like, oh, everyone in the world is going to see this. By the way, I had 12 subscribers and I'm going to look, either stupid or whatever the case may be. So I think that is a holdback maybe for a lot of people. And you're just saying, push that to the side. That is a concern that most people feel, but it's not a valid one. And get over yourself, basically. Yeah,
some of it's that. Some of it is, understanding that getting it out is more important than getting it perfect. And most of this style of content, you're going to be remaking it every year. You're going to be doing an update video, and it's obvious that you've improved, that you've made 100 videos since then. You've improved dramatically. And that's a lot of the wheel of YouTube.
Okay, so at this point with our video, the pros and cons, I've got my little points. I've shot for 20 minutes.
You mentioned cost of living, not pros and cons, right?
Oh, damn. Oh, this is where it comes out before we hit record. Remember, I told you I was going to tell you something on the podcast. Yeah. So the show before, Craig Curlap, my buddy was like, I was like, dude, what can I do better? And he's like, have you considered not cursing? And I was like, yeah, but dude, it's my authentic personality, all this stuff. And he's like, well, Shelby, cursing offends people while not cursing offends no one. So just consider that. And I was like, you know what? Maybe this is time. Adult Shelby, 32 years old. I think it's time to try to drop the cursing. So I'm telling this to you and to the public that I am going to work on cursing less. But anyway, back to not the pros and cons, the cost of living in Charlotte. Yeah. And you mentioned that editing was going to whittle it down from 20 minutes to 12 minutes. Are you editing? Who's editing? What does that piece look like?
Don't edit. I did. Yes. I've worked as an editor though. I've traveled around the world and shot documentaries. That was the piece that was unfair in the midst of this. It's like, no, I'm not intimidated by having a video file and needing to make it into something. No big deal. There's all kinds of services though. VidChops, VidChops is the one I would recommend right now. They have a monthly plan where you pay $600 a month and you can just do as many videos as you can get done. They get the first one back to you in 2 days. They get revisions back to you in another day. It's an awesome service. Yeah, they're using editors in the Philippines, but they're good. There's all kinds of services like that though.
Okay, so don't waste time. Don't slow yourself down on the editing. Plan that into your budget and process from the beginning. So the video is back and it's edited, and now you are going to post on YouTube. My instinct is thumbnail, description, all these other things.
I mean, you can pay the same service to make all that for you as well. And they'll, find a consistent style for your thumbnails. But just doing it on Canva yourself is not that complicated. Just have somebody take some pictures of you in front of a different colored wall than what you're wearing. Doesn't have to be like a white wall or anything, just different color than what you're wearing. And then services like Canva, Photoshop, whatever can cut you out really easily. And you're doing like the typical faces that you would see on a YouTube thumbnail where you're like, have big eyes. People want to see your eyes big. People like it when you point. People like it when you look upset or confused. You have to play that game a little bit. So the thumbnail, let's talk about the elements of getting seen and getting views. So the title gets you to show up in the search. That's it. The thumbnail gets you to get clicked on. So this is your search result. This is your click-through rate. And then the next is your average view duration. So somebody actually clicks, how much do they actually watch of your video? Now, if they only watch 10% of your video and then leave and go watch someone else's video, YouTube doesn't like that. So they want you to be watching 40 to 50% of your video and then watching another one of your videos. That's how you really play into the algorithm. But that's like title, thumbnail, and quality of content. That's how you're using those three things.
Oh, this is very helpful. Okay, let's start at the top. Title. Yeah. You're like, this is how you get to show up. So talk me through the title, please. Yeah.
So some of this is common sense. Like we act like we don't use the internet.
Assume nothing is common sense, Sam.
No, you search for things on Google. We all do, and we act like we don't know what people are searching for. So instead, we talk about like how to close a contract. No, those people already have agents. They don't need that information. They need to know very qualitative things. So cost of living. How much does it cost to live in Charlotte? They're literally searching for that. And services like Keywords Everywhere or TubeBuddy or vidIQ all show, oh yeah, there's tons of search traffic for these kind of things. And a lot of these are just like Chrome plugins where you can do this research. I use TubeBuddy, and their Keyword Explorer shows you so many things. So I search for cost of living in Tampa. It shows me how many videos there are, how well optimized those videos are for search, and something else. What is a good, hypothetically, I put in how much does the cost to live in Charlotte into TubeBuddy. What is a good score? Yeah, so at first, your scores are going to be unweighted, meaning it doesn't take your other videos into account. So you're looking to have a score over 90 out of 100. Sometimes the volume's too high, so it's going to be too hard for you to show up. Sometimes the volume's too low, so there's not enough people there. And you're looking for kind of this balance. And typically, most videos aren't optimized for search, where they're not using good titles and tags and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't think the tags matter. But they're not optimized for search. They're not like really working to show up. Then once you have more videos, it's going to give you a weighted score. So it shows if you make this video, this is where you will rank because you already have traffic and they can see kind of how your stuff performs. Okay, that makes sense. And you're playing around with it in TubeBuddy until it pops out something that's, 90 to 100 out of 100. And then next, so you have this title, and then the next thing is the thumbnail. So what I've seen is they don't match. What is the title to thumbnail? How are you supposed to? I don't know my question, but do you know my question? No, that's great. I know your question. First of all, you got to time block these things into chunks where it makes sense. So like I get all my titles and plan the videos like 10 at a time. And it happened to be last Friday. It was a 2-hour block, a monthly reoccurring block where I've got 10 videos ready for the next month and a half, right? So title and thumbnail, how do they interact with each other? First of all, you don't want to put the same thing on both because you're wasting potential words you could use. You want the title to be super specific. So it's the cost of living in Charlotte in 2023. It's like something like that. And then your title, your thumbnail is you like this and saying like, do I have enough money? Like something like that. Like with, the Charlotte skyline in the background, like something a little more compelling that shows some personality in the thumbnail compared to just the wordy thing in the title. Okay, so hypothetically, 50%
or less words in the thumbnail than in the title, and they should not match. The thumbnail is straight up just supposed to be the up close, which I think is, you're supposed to be up close, right? Of your face. Is that right? I think you told me that. The up close with like a little bit of words that will just draw them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
And some background that will draw them in too.
Okay.
Especially like we have cities that we're in. You can show the city. I show the beach a lot. Like there's a lot of things you can show that draw people in.
Any feedback on like, or perspective on like color scheme, or what else besides the up close, the big eyes, what else can we do that is helpful?
Two things. Extremely consistent. Just pick a color and a font and stay with it. Two is extremely legible. I don't like when text has like a hard outline. I just think it looks cheap. But the reality is it's more legible. It just is. So people can see it. They're more likely to read it and click on it. Like I have to give up on some of my taste for like people need to be able to read it. That's it.
Okay. And are you just taking, I know that you have like high tech camera stuff, but like, I mean, iPhones these days are great. So can you just in theory do all of your thumbnail photos and you're recording on your iPhone?
Yes, I started with my iPhone. And
Yeah,
looking back, I wish I would have just stayed with it.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking as if like, you know, I'm listening and I'm like, what are all the objections in my head? I'm like, I don't have the camera equipment. Oh, I don't have the time, whatever. But okay, so all of this makes sense because so far you're time blocking 2 hours a month and you're thinking through all of the videos that you want to post in the next month. And that includes the title and essentially like the very rough sketch. And then throughout, as you have time, you're doing 15 minutes here, 20 minutes there of data research on these videos. So that way you can just knock it out, which we haven't gone through the knock it out part yet. So like hypothetically, you have your title, you know what you want to talk about. How are you filming this?
How am I filming this? I prefer to be like in a neighborhood kind of setting. So I'm going to the neighborhood I'm talking about, parking on the side of the street, setting up my camera on a tripod on my car, and I'm talking to it. Now behind me, you know, there might be a sidewalk, there might be big trees, hopefully something that I'm going to hit on a little bit in one of my points. One of my favorite places is to like go to a park and go to like a covered bench at a park, like a picnic table, because being able to set up your camera on the table keeps it in the same place, puts it at a nice level. It kind of like limits some of the problems that you're going to come up with just by having it there and just by like leaning into it a little bit. And then I'm just running through the whole thing. In the midst of that, you know, while I'm in the neighborhood, I'm holding my phone out the window and I'm getting some footage of the neighborhood. I'm flying my drone around, those kind of things. But you could just do drive-by footage of neighborhoods and commercial areas to make your points. You could just have your editor zoom into pictures. It doesn't have to be that fancy.
The objection in my head is saying sound quality. You're outside, you're on a picnic bench. How is your sound not getting screwed up?
I used a $60 shotgun mic.
Are those the ones you clip? Like, is that what it is?
No,
what is that?
On top. So it's like can pick you up from far away. It's very focused, so it has to be pointed like right at you. A lavalier mic would be one that's clipped on here, or a lapel mic. And like that's an option too. There's cheap versions of that. And there's some that like record themselves and then your editor can sync it later. It's probably a little complicated in the beginning. You could do it all just with the iPhone microphone, honestly. You know, one of the biggest objections that comes up is it's too late. There's already people doing it. When I started mine when I wanted to start it in 2020, started looking at all the other channels, watching their videos a little bit. I felt like I had like 20 competitors. Then the week I started, I published my first video on Wednesday. Monday, another guy started. I'm like, dang, this guy like looks kind of like me, sounds kind of like me. He's like born and raised here. He and I are probably the top two in Tampa now. We're the only ones that kept doing it. The only ones. And our style's a little bit different. We get very different kind of clients. We talk often. Like it's great. Like, but we just kept doing it.
Of the people that you talk to who do videos or who say they're going to do YouTube, what is the percent that actually do it?
It's 0. It really is.
Inspirational real estate rock stars. There it is.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Honestly, like that's why you should do it. It's hard and it's not crowded because it's hard. But it's only hard in that like it's kind of intimidating. If you actually like put the things on paper that you have to do for it, it's not that complicated. And just like real estate in general, it's not that complicated. You just got to keep going.
It's true. Okay, so we have gone through the planning, we've gone through the filming, we've gone through the title and the thumbnail. The one we haven't gone through yet is the viewing. You said that, how much time they stay on your video is what's really important, with 40 to 50% of each video, and then go to another video. Like that's the intent, for YouTube to pick up and say people like you. So what have you found to be the most important things on getting people to continue watching the videos?
Have interesting things to say. Like so many people think, oh, I'm just going to like say the clickbait things. Like, no, you've got to put some of yourself in there. So some things I do, I think about these like tokens. And I think of like, I'm always going to talk about my family. I'm always going to talk about being from small town Oklahoma. I'm always going to talk about how the bugs always bite me. And these are literal things that like people have a chance to connect with. And then that client that wants to buy a $5 million house he grew up in small town Texas, but lives in the big city now. Like he connects with me because of that. He didn't even remember where I was from. That's a real story. He didn't even remember where I was from, but when it came up, he's like, oh, that's awesome. And it's just those kind of things keep people there and help you kind of build more of a personality to these people instead of just being there asking for business.
It's funny you say that too, because those are the things that the trying to be perfect Shelby would have never allowed to reach the final product. And listening to you when you're like, yeah, I had a booger out of my nose half the time filming it. And then I was like, I'm just going to leave it.
Like, it was like on my mustache. Like, dude, how did my editor not notice that? He's like, I didn't see it.
Dude. And then the dude is like, yeah, I want to work with you because you have boogers like me, bro.
Yeah. You're just, but a lot of people are like, you just seem like a normal guy. And realtors, like I'm talking to the audience, like you all think you're good at it. Maybe you are a good realtor. Maybe you're the best realtor in the world. I'm not. But if people don't know, like, and trust you, they're not going to work with you. But people don't know, like, and trust you if they don't get to spend time with you. This is just a free way for them to spend time with you. That's it. And it's where they're already searching. They're not searching for you on Instagram. They're just not. They're searching for you on Google and YouTube. And if you're not there to answer the question and provide them value, somebody else will.
Yeah, it makes sense. I do. I'm like, I am bought into the idea. It's just the realities of the amount of time and effort it takes to do it is what holds me back. So I guess maybe that is a good time to talk about the realities, because I know in the beginning it took you, I'm sure
it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Talk about the beginning and talk about now.
Sure. Well, the beginning, I didn't have any business. So it's like, I remember the first like really good lead I got, they're like, do you have time to show us meet with us tomorrow? I'm like, yeah, let me check my schedule. I'm like, yeah, I've got all the time in the world. So I met them at open houses. So I didn't have to like schedule anything. I'm like, let's just make this really easy for everybody. No big deal. So I had a lot of time in the beginning. It took probably 20 hours a week. Now it takes about 4 hours a week. Not doing any editing. My editor just sent me like a version of a video, and I use an app where I can like comment on each like time code, like put this drone shot right here, like zoom into that map, like things like that, or cut out that part where I like stuttered over my words for 5 minutes, like those kind of things.
What app is it?
This is Dropbox Replay. But the one I would recommend for most people is called frame.io. And it just lets you like make like time code specific notes really easily. But like VidChops, they have their own kind of internal version of that. These like editing companies, they do a great job.
Okay, so we got in the beginning of 20 hours a week, and then now we're down to 4 hours a week, which is 16-ish hours a month. Yeah. And your overhead, you mentioned $600 a month for the editing thing. What other expenses should we expect from implementing this?
I mean, probably a couple hundred a year in software, whether that's like I have a big Dropbox account or, Creative Cloud or things like that. But I also make, a few hundred a month from YouTube ad revenue. So it offsets some of those. The overhead can be really low.
Okay, gotcha. So
I mean, for my entire business, my entire real estate business, my overhead's about $1,200 a month.
Okay. So $1,200 a month for the entire real estate business. And then you mentioned anywhere from 4 leads to 40 leads a week organically from your content that you have on YouTube.
Yeah. And I of course, 4 to 40, I know that's making some of you mad. Like, give me a better number, give me a smaller range. But that is just the reality of running a business, especially if you're not paying for marketing. Like, no, I'm paying to make videos, but then I'm promoting them organically. So it just doesn't come and go like super consistently. It's like feast or famine. But that's most of real estate, isn't it?
100. I mean, yeah, it's the entrepreneur life.
Yeah.
The difference, though, that I like about YouTube is that you do the video. And if you did the same, obviously it wouldn't be the same video, but a similar idea of content on Instagram, it is buried. And like the minute that you post it on Instagram, people see it. But if you don't keep posting, you won't continue to pop up. It just doesn't work like that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but within YouTube, you post a video, 3 years ago, and people are still searching for it. It's still popping up. It's still feeding them. And that work that you did, it does not have to be the same level of upkeep as it did. Like, even if, let's say, hypothetically, you stopped YouTube today and you didn't post, do another YouTube video for a year, those same videos that you already put the time and effort into would continue feeding your business.
Absolutely. Yeah, there'd be leads for years. A lot of people can post a YouTube video and think like, okay, I got to get views on it. I'm going to post it on Facebook. I'm going to post it on Instagram. I'm going to tell my friends and family to go watch it, watch the whole thing and like it and subscribe and leave a comment. That's going to hurt your growth on YouTube. It's not going to be like a neutral effect. It's literally going to hurt your growth on YouTube because now YouTube doesn't see you as someone that can find an audience. They see you as someone that gets people from other sources to come in and watch and click. You have to play the YouTube game all the way. You can't. So I didn't tell anybody other than my friend that was giving me like tangible feedback that I was doing this. No, you want strangers, complete strangers to find your videos. And if you're sending your videos to your friends and family, your strangers aren't going to find them as easily.
I was that person. Guilty. I put it on Facebook. I sent it to my mom. I was like, Mom, please watch this video. And you cannot just like hit play and click. You have to watch it to the end and leave a comment. So it's really fun to hear this like after the fact. If only I would have asked you. This shame on me. Yeah.
we talked once during the early phases of that. I'm like, I feel like I could give you some good advice.
And I was just like, full send the Shelby, whatever, disaster.
The Shelby show.
Shelby show. Okay, so I have a good idea about the YouTube things. I'm curious now about looking ahead. Are you in this YouTube living in Tampa creation mode forever? Or where does the YouTube journey take you?
Sure. A lot of it is me. How do I package what I know now? And bring people in to like be able to teach them what I know. That's super important to me. And that's super fun. Like helping people overcome these like limiting beliefs that they have about getting on video, about all this kind of stuff. Super fun. But the formula works for other businesses too. And that's an interesting opportunity I find myself in. It's not YouTube for real estate. It's YouTube for leads. And businesses need leads. So there's just so many different ways it can go. There's so many products that could be built that support it. But let's say I have a huge downline and I'm making 20 grand a month, hypothetically. I would still be making videos about Tampa just to be showing that, hey guys, I know what I'm talking about. That's super important to me.
Yeah. Proof of concept and staying relevant. Those
Super
are
relevant. Yeah.
Those are the things that are, and I see this a lot of times with like team leaders. Like I went through it too, where if you stop closing the deals, then you lose touch with what's happening in the market, what your agents are going through. And I feel like the same thing applies to YouTube, especially with how quickly the technology and YouTube is growing and changing, that relevancy is going to be more and more important.
Yeah, I think so too. And it just keeps me connected to the area as well. Like I get randomly recognized all kinds of places. And
You're a superstar.
But the thing is, anybody could be that person for their place. I'm in a city of 4 million people and I get recognized in Costco and somebody's like, hey, you're the Tampa YouTube guy. It's like, yeah. But the thing is, I'm a newcomer and I've been here 3 years. Like, how much more the guy that's born and raised in Baton Rouge can be the Baton Rouge YouTube guy? Like the opportunity is so apparent and you just have to like be consistent in making the videos and like be willing to be a student of the platform and of your area. So I go study things about Tampa. Like that's my research is like, okay, what's interesting about this to me? My father-in-law asks me stuff all the time. Like, hey, do you know what that thing is? That water tower is? I'm like, of course I know what it is. Like that's the old water tower from Sulphur Springs. That was put there in 1923. Like, I know all this stuff.
I think that's really cool. And I recently, this morning was listening to a podcast and one of the guys was talking about like how to be interesting. Like he broke it down actually to attract girls.
Yeah.
But I mean, one of the things he was talking about was like to be genuinely curious yourself. So you have to want to know not only about other people, but also be interested in life. And when you have that interest, that's attractive. And things that, you know, like the water tower, most people would never really care. But if you are excited about this water tower, everyone wants to know.
Yeah. And yeah, that's a big part of it. So I did this series and I've designed these different video series a few times and I would recommend people to do this. So I did a Tampa Explained series where I'm like, okay, I want to break down the whole area because there's a lot of areas that don't have a video about. If they ask about this area, I want to be able to say, here's a video about it. So I just broke it down into like 12 sections and like defined it all by the same criteria: proximity, style, size, and cost. And it's like a very predictable framework. We use the same graphics every time. I'm talking to the camera, I'm sharing history, and I'm like breaking the area down like that. So like doing something like that kind of gives you this base knowledge, and then you can like just follow interests. And when you follow those interests, people like it.
For sure.
Let me say, the people that you want to call you like it. It's all about attracting the people that you actually want to work with. That's it.
Which goes back to your boogers. Like you attract the booger people. Yeah. But what I was going to say though with the, I like how you also use like what people ask you as a guide to what to make videos on. Cause I do the same thing like with the traditional agent side of the house. Like if someone asked the question, it probably could be included in some piece of information in the future. It could warrant, you know, and that's just a good indicator as to how people's brains are working and what you could do to provide the solutions for them.
Right. Yeah, I love that. I've been hosting some events locally for agents. And one of the points I made was that you can find out what your audience wants to know just by asking them. And what I did is the few days before I reached out to everybody who came to the previous event and asked them what I should talk about. And it's like, okay, so how many of you in the audience, like, did I ask what you want to hear? And like some hands go up. And it's like, that's all you have to do, guys. Like, so I'm going to answer your specific questions. Like, let's dive into these specific things you wanted to talk about because you told me you want to talk about them. Like, your people will tell you.
Totally. Okay. What did we miss when talking about YouTube or any parting YouTube words of wisdom?
You got to start sooner. Like, you don't have to be ready. Like, looking back, like, why didn't I publish the first video in October? Why did I wait until January? And there were reasons. I thought I need this certain thing, this camera adapter thing for my phone. And I can't get it for this long. And sure, plenty of seemingly logical reasons. But if I would have just started, I would have figured it out. I would have gotten leads sooner. I would have had better videos sooner. Like, so many things don't happen because of our inaction. And this is the same. Like, all you have to do is start. Like, it doesn't have to be good. And people will often look at someone like me, look at other channels that are successful and think, gosh, I can't make videos like that. Well, look at the very first videos we made. Like, all those channels that you think are so good, like, they weren't this good in the beginning. Even the big YouTubers that are like creating entertaining content, they get better every single time. Mr. Beast tries to get better every single time. Mr. Beast is focusing right now on how to tell stories better, because he doesn't feel like he has enough character arcs in his videos. Like, that's something he's really focusing on. Like, the biggest YouTuber in the world is focusing on how to grow, and we think we're odd because we can't figure it out right off the bat.
That's funny that he's working on that. I didn't know that, but that's something that I have semi-recently also become very interested in, because the more you...
Mr. Beast or storytelling?
Storytelling. The more that you think about, humanity, stories have been such an integral part of, from the beginning of time, around campfires, storytelling. And then why are we so obsessed with movies and theater and all that? It's all storytelling, and the ability to articulate in a captivating way is so impactful. No matter what you want to do in life, if you can capture and clearly articulate, dude, the world is yours.
Yeah. Yeah. And I tell stories constantly in my videos about myself or about clients. So, every time I tell a story, I'm trying to show you can trust me. I have your best interest in mind, and we close deals. Not we're the best. We just close deals. Those are the only three things I'm trying to show every single story I tell. And it's really easy to show that when you tell a story about a client. I took care of this person. This is what they needed. This is how we solved it.
Yeah. And good content also. Okay. Sam, what events are you going to this year? Are you going to any in-person events?
No. I feel like I should.
You should now. So I literally just today, last minute, got tickets to the Tom Ferry event in Dallas. That's in 2 weeks. They still have tickets. So if you want to go, you should definitely go. We can hang out. And then, of course, the Real Estate Rockstars Mastermind in March. Why are you not going to be there?
Honestly, the only one I'm considering.
Perfect. Don't consider. Commit now, live to the audience.
It's hard to leave.
You know what? They're so little, they won't remember. That's fine.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst. My kids are 5 and 1.5 and horrible sleepers, but they're a blast.
Dude, clearly I don't have kids, because anyone with kids would probably not say it that way. But, okay, Sam, how can listeners help you in your business?
How can listeners help me? Make videos. Honestly, I have this podcast called Unemployable, and the whole idea of unemployable to me is not being able to blame somebody else for what's happening in your life, not being able to blame an employer, not being able to blame your parents, your spouse, whoever. No, take ownership and be in control of your opportunities, your success, your actions. And doing something like this just gives you that energy. And it's just not that hard. You can all do it. People will like you. If people like you in person, people are going to like you on video.
The person's sitting there no one likes me. But anyway, Sam,
well, that person, if you're just an asshole and nobody likes you, maybe you shouldn't get on video.
Maybe not. Yeah. Okay. Where can people find you?
Yeah. Find me right here on this podcast. I'm taking over. I'm the new host. Just kidding. Shelby's going to do an awesome job. I'm super excited.
Thank you so much.
Instagram at the Sam Caudle, Caudle. That's probably the easiest way to get a hold of me. Don't watch my Living in Tampa channel unless you want to move to Tampa. You're not my client base. I would love to just hop on a Zoom call if you're interested in this kind of topic and you would just want to talk for 30 minutes. I would love to hop on a call and help you overcome these initial objections that we have in our minds.
And it's true. I know this to be true because he's done it with several of my people. So, okay, perfect on the gram. And listeners, if you want to hang out with me or the owner of the show, Aaron Amugastegi, you can find me at The Shelby Show on Instagram or Aaron at his name, Aaron Amugastegi. And please, guys, hit me with feedback. I want to know how I can improve and who you want on the show. Please do not hold back. And last note real quick is if you are an experienced investor, Aaron is hosting an event in Austin this September, the 28th through the 29th. And it is for a small group of experienced investors only. For more information, go to his Instagram bio or investordeepdive.com. Okay, cool. And Sam, that is all we have today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Virtual hug. Okay, perfect. Real estate rock stars. Thanks for listening.